Where'll you be going?
Texas?
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Go on, make it happen.
And now here's Steve and Michelle.
Welcome from the heart of Dripping Springs. We are Mallet and Michelle. Hosted by me, Michelle Lewis, and Steve Mallet.
Hey, Michelle, how are you?
Hello, Steve.
It's so great to be back in the studio. I missed it. Even though we got back last week and we've already done one episode, it's nice to be back in here on a regular basis.
Well, guess what? Don't get used to it because I am leaving for Mexico.
You're going on vacation. Yeah, you're paying me back. Yeah.
That's right.
Hey, couldn't do the show without our wonderful sponsors, M. Elliott Studio,
Nomic Power Solutions,
Capital Farm Credit, Mark Rutledge,
and
Mallet Integrity Team, and Pigpen Barbecue. Which I don't think we're going to today because our special guest, Becky Jordan, and her friend Ray are going to come in, and I think they wanted us to take them to Summer Revival.
Ooh, I get to eat there 2 times this week.
Are you going to get the same thing, that
I don't know.
salad?
Maybe it's
the July
really good.
Special?
Yeah, it's really good. But I'll make up for it. I may have to go to Pigpen on... Oh, no, we're going to lunch with somebody on Wednesday. I'm not going to have Pigpen for a whole week.
Are we going to lunch with somebody on Wednesday? I
yes.
forgot. Okay.
Steve Friedman, we're going to lunch with
that's
Steve.
right. Yes.
Yeah.
We got invited to MC a gala. It's far enough away that I'm not nervous yet, but I'm getting there.
You will be nervous.
Well, now that you're saying it, I'm getting really nervous.
Don't be nervous. You'll be fine. Just know that I have jokes ready.
Oh God, it'll be a night at my expense.
Well, duh.
It's just how that goes.
Hey, have you ever heard of lo-fi music?
I have heard you mention it. I don't have any idea what it is.
Well, I've been playing it lately in the studio or in the office.
Is that why I keep falling asleep at my desk?
It probably is. Well, it's like this chillaxing kind of relaxing music. It's nostalgic. I call it like you don't want to murder people music. You know, I listened to it on my way home.
Are you listening to that because of me?
No,
So you won't murder me?
No, like I find sometimes if I'm already anxious and I'm listening to certain type of music, it kind of makes me more anxious. And this just kind of takes me down. But lo-fi, I was really interested in this. I don't even know who turned me on to this. Maybe, I don't know, probably one of the kids. But it stands for low fidelity, which originally was referring to music recorded with the imperfections such as background noise. So you'll get like the pops and the tape, the hisses and the crackle
on vinyl.
Vinyl, yes. Yeah. And the instruments are really simple, or the origin of it. It's keyboards, guitars. Some of it's even the newer stuff is more like computer generated, but it's centered around relaxation, your mental health, your creativity. A lot of the millennials use it for study music or work music. And so I was like, I just kind of found it takes me down a little level. Is there
Pandora stations for lo-fi?
There is. There's several Pandora stations. There's Lo-Fi Chill, which is I listened to 2 main ones, the Lo-Fi Chill and the Lo-Fi Dinner Party. The fact that you just said Pandora, my kids make fun of me that I listen to Pandora, and we always say, well, I've got free skips because I pay $6 to not have the commercials. But they all listen to Spotify or Apple Music.
Spotify is the thing for young kids?
I hate it. I hate Spotify. I hate Apple Music because I want to listen to a genre of music. I don't want to listen to a specific artist. And you can do that.
Is that the way Spotify is? Like if you want to listen to Chris Stapleton, it's all Chris Stapleton?
Well, I think that they do. Some people can do like their playlist. Honestly, I have it because I listen to Joe Rogan, so I have the Spotify app.
You can listen to Joe Rogan on Apple Podcasts again.
Oh, really?
For like
I didn't
the
know
last 4 or 5 months.
I didn't know that. I've just been going to Spotify. So but I really like it. But there's also lo-fi hip hop, which is really kind of cool. I'm waiting for lo-fi country music because that's my genre. But it started back in the 1990s, and it was kind of a throwback or a contrast to the polished music, of the time, like the Madonnas and everything. And it was kind of embracing this, like you recorded it in your mom's basement kind of thing.
Wow.
And back to the vinyl, because everything was so digitized right around that time.
Music these days feels so created for a specific purpose to make money. It's not the heart and soul of it seems to have been taken out in some places. So that's why when an artist comes along where you can really feel that their heart and soul is in the music, that's why they're so popular. Because some of this, there's a band here in Dripping Springs that was created. It was like 3 or 4 guys that didn't even know each other, and some record company put them together because that they would attract a certain demographic, and their looks all complemented each other. And what's the name of that?
It's oh my gosh, I'm totally it's
See-no moment.
No, if you hadn't have said it, I would have known. We actually had one of their now ex-wives on our podcast.
Oh, we did, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Is it Midland?
Yes, Midland.
Midland, yeah.
Yeah, it's Midland for sure. But
that was put together just because it created a band that would attract dollars.
Mm-hmm. So. I was going to try to, my Pandora right now is not working in this studio, but I was going to try to log in and listen. You could listen to some of the music. But
why don't you pull that up and I'll do it.
Here it is. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's kind of, see, it's just serene, and I know it's great. That's the lo-fi dinner party. It's just very okay. I'm gonna play it in the background as I should have played it in the background.
You can play it in the background now.
There you go. Okay.
Hey, you got a pool built during COVID, didn't you?
I did. I got a pool built during COVID, right at the beginning of COVID, and interest rates were super low, and we did a refi on our house, and we took a cash out, and we made bank on it, and I paid $40,000 for the pool.
You got a bargain. Well, yeah. I read a story this week that pool homes are taking a dive, meaning houses with pools are not selling as fast as they did during COVID.
That makes sense.
That's really distracting to me.
That makes sense.
Yeah. During 2020 and 2021 with the COVID lockdown, people were hunkered down in their homes and wanted recreation. So in 2020, 96,000 people, 96,000 homes added pools. In 2021, 117,000 people added pools to their homes. That was the highest rate ever for pools. That was 2021.
Those pool companies were making bank.
They were, and they were charging an arm and a leg. And do you know in Texas, to become a pool builder, you know what you have to do?
Say you're a pool builder?
You basically print a business card that says you're a pool builder.
Yeah.
Which is a whole different thing. But in 2023, the pool builders are saying that they're expecting a drop of at least 20% in the number of pools that they're building. So pools are starting to die out a little bit. I think part of that is because the cost has gone up. The average pool cost in 2020 was $66,500. So you did get a bargain. The only place where pools are still selling,
Arizona.
No, not geographically, in a price range. Pools that are from $90,000 to $100,000 are still selling really well. And the pool builders are saying that's because people that are buying more entry-level pools generally take out loans, and the high interest rates are stopping them from doing that. And here's another place that this high mortgage rates, high interest rates are damaging the economy. And most of the time, the people that are buying these $100,000 pools pay cash.
We regretted not at the time not doing the hot tub with the pool.
Yeah.
And I have heard from more people saying, no, that was actually good, because that's one of the main things that leak or have issues, or is the hot tub in the pool.
We've seen that in some of the houses we've sold. Yeah. A lot of pool builders are saying that people are sitting on the sidelines waiting for interest rates to come down, which is exactly what we've been saying in our office about real estate sales, is that there are people that are ready. They know they want to buy something. They're just waiting for those interest rates to tick down. So hopefully that'll happen sometime soon.
Wait till they come down.
Yeah. And then while pools are generally more expensive to maintain than people expect, did you find that it's cost you more to maintain than you thought?
No, we had a pool before when we lived in Shady Hollow. And when we built this pool, we decided that we were going to get a pool guy to come over and do it. And we weren't really happy with him. And my husband.
So now your pool guy is Todd.
And he does a much better job.
He does.
He does a much better job.
Yeah. Well, most people say that even though it's more expensive to maintain than they thought, they still thought it was a great investment, and they're glad they did it.
I'm very glad we did it. I'm in it every single weekend that I am allowed to be in it.
It's your thing, yeah.
I love it.
Every weekend, I know I'm going to get, unless it's raining or cold, I know I'm going to get pictures of you in the pool on your social media. I found another story, and I didn't really write much down about it. Have you heard of this thing called concrete cancer in pools?
Yes, I've done a lot of research on that concrete cancer, and it started, I believe, they started noticing it right around 2017, I think. And it's not only in pools, it's the concrete cancer is happening in all of the slabs, all of the concrete. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, or you didn't do research.
I read the story, but I didn't write down a whole lot about it.
It's a component that was missing from the concrete.
It was a part of the concrete mix that got really expensive. It's some kind of soda, I think.
Some supply some phosphate.
Yeah, and it got very expensive, and so the concrete manufacturers decided to skimp on it a little bit, and it's affected the integrity of the concrete. And it's been most evident in pools, and it's when you notice it. Most people say they start to see spider webs on the outside of the pool that with like white outlines, like kind of a chalky white outline.
It's the calcium.
Yeah, I guess it leaks through the pool.
Yeah.
There's small cracks in the pool. Well, some of these.
Well, you know what they have to do? They have to rip the whole pool out.
Well, I was just going to say, so one guy had a pool that he spent, I think it was $95,000 for. And the pool company said, well, this isn't covered under the warranty because the warranty covers workmanship or whatever. And this was a problem with the concrete. And he got bids to replace his pool. And that was $150,000 because not only do they have to build him a new pool, they have to rip the old one out and haul it away.
And your homeowner's insurance doesn't cover it.
Doesn't cover it, yeah. So I didn't hear that it has gone back to 2017. What I read was that a lot of the pools built during this COVID boom in 2020 because there was so much demand for concrete and these concrete companies were kind of cutting corners that it's really pools built in 2020 through 2022 are the most affected. But also it's mostly in the Austin area because the concrete companies that cut corners were in the Austin area. So it isn't happening all across the country. It's really only happening here.
And how they test for it is you have to drain your pool and they have to do a core sample,
which is between $4,000 and $10,000 according to the article I read. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Do you want to ask me how I know that all of this?
I figure you have some kind of problem with your pool and you're doing the research.
I'm doing a little bit of a research.
God forbid you'd be the pool builder that built your pool.
Yeah, well, God forbid they were. They hated me and I hated them.
Well, and you'll get your way, I guarantee it.
I will for sure. So we're going to have Becky Jordan on, and Becky Jordan is probably one of our most favorite people and clients in the entire world. We just adore this woman.
I was just thinking last night, I've known her this year. I believe I've known her 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I met her. She was selling advertising in the Outlook magazine.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Well, she lives in Wimberley. And so we haven't really ever kind of talked about Wimberley. And even though they're our cousin, our kissing cousin, right? So the history of Wimberley and the land ownership, I went on this little deep dive and I thought it was super cool what I found out. So back in 1838, I'm going to butcher the name, but the Amasa Turner land grant happened and they were granted 1,200 acres for service in the Texas War for Independence. Okay. So this was back in 1838. So from 1838 to 1849, the land ownership changed hands a couple of times. Like that Amasa Turner, she sold it to somebody for $75 for all 1,200-ish acres. Then somebody else sold it for $100 an acre for all 1,200 acres. And then we get to 1849, and Wimberley was called Glendale. And then in 1856, it was purchased on a 17-acre site with a mill on the square. It was called Winter's Mill. Then in 1864, it was called, how would you say this? Cudd's Mill?
I would say Cude's Mill.
Cude's
but
Mill?
I guess it
Cud's
could,
Mill?
Well, because it's got an E, it's got to be
And
Cude's.
that happened after the property was obtained following the death of the father-in-law of Winters. Then in 1874, it was called Wimberley's Mill, and it was the mill was purchased plus 200 acres. Then in 1880, it was called Wimberleyville.
Oh my
Isn't that
gosh.
funny? And the postmaster named it, but the name never became official. Then in 1880 is when it finally got its name, Wimberley. It was the official name was
In
finally
1880, it became Wimberley?
in 1880. And in the year 2000, it became the village of Wimberley. And then in 2008, the official as of today is City of Wimberley.
City of Wimberley.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow, no, that is crazy.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 names that
I
it
wonder,
went through.
I don't think Dripping Springs had anything like that. I think when it was first officially named as an area, it was named Dripping Springs.
The funny thing to me was how cheap it was to buy Wimberley back in the day. Like, let's just say, for instance, in 1856, it was subdivided into 6 tracts. And so you could buy 280 acres for $450
Oh, yeah.
of Wimberley.
The Storm Ranch, which I believe is still 8,500 acres, which is as you're going down south towards Ranch Road 12, where the road splits into 4 lanes for just a half a mile or so. Storm Ranch is off to the right-hand side. That land was purchased by Mr. Storm. I don't remember when it was, but for $35 an acre.
Oh, wow.
And at the time, the story going around was that he really felt like he overpaid for it, but he wanted to preserve the land. So there you go, folks. Buy real estate.
Well, I have one more Wimberley story, but I'm going to let you do your story and then I can.
All right. Well, part of the reason Becky's coming on is because she's a yoga instructor.
Yes.
And it's funny. I've known her and I've known she's been into yoga, and actually, apparently, she's a pretty big deal.
And she's very well known.
Very well known, around Texas for being a yoga instructor. So I just had a couple things about yoga that I thought were interesting. The origination of yoga took place over 5,000 years ago in northern India. Yeah, 5,000 years ago. So
wow,
a long time ago. Yeah. And as time went on, yoga masters created a system of practices designed to rejuvenate the body and prolong life. And so it's morphed and changed over the many, many generations to what it is today. But the creation of Tantra yoga with radical techniques to cleanse the body, and then it morphed into a modern yoga called Hatha yoga, which I think Becky's probably going to tell us.
Yeah, I want to ask her because there's several styles of yoga.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. And then I read this article. One of the reasons I wanted to do this was I read this article in the Wall Street Journal from this guy, and it's the theme of this article is things you changed your mind about. So once a week they do a story, and it's from somebody that had a belief in something, and then through some experience they changed their mind about it. So this guy wrote this article about yoga, and he said a couple of the highlights were that this guy looked down on men who practiced yoga as guys who cooked smelly food, played weird music, and had a man bun and a ring on every finger.
That describes Russell Brand.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and actually, some of that turned out to be true. When he went to yoga classes, there were guys that had all those things. But he started showing up, and at the first class, he noticed most of the people there were very attractive and very healthy looking. That was one of the things that jumped out at him is, wow, these people all look very vibrant and healthy. And that the music that they played, while he was making fun of it before, when he was there, it was like, wow, it's pretty soothing. It's kind of calming.
Like lo-fi music?
Like lo-fi music, yeah. So he said it's been a great workout. He's started to do it more and more. I guess he's doing it 3 or 4 days a week. And when he goes, he finds himself to be less irritable. And he says that could be because he's worn out from it, because it's a pretty big workout.
I'm signing you up for yoga classes now.
No. Actually, one of the things I was going to ask Becky about is what she would tell me about doing yoga, because she's actually been kind of politely and gently mentioning that to me for years. But between the swimming, the running, the cycling, and the weightlifting, like where the hell? It's like my friend Tim wanting me to play pickleball. I don't know when I'd fit that in, so I don't even try it.
Same.
Yeah, sure you are.
Between the pool, the TikTok, the happy hours.
Yeah, right.
When am I going to fit it in?
Yeah. Well, there you go. So there's some little facts about yoga, and if you've ever thought about trying yoga, you might find out, even though you don't think you will, you might find out you like it.
I've actually done yoga, so
Have you? I've never done yoga.
Oh, wow.
I've done some of the poses like people have taught me, but I've never gone to a yoga class.
Oh, wow. That surprises me.
I've had opportunities. I've just never done it.
We need to go do one.
Oh, God.
Go ahead. Okay,
Maybe
so,
Becky will do that for us.
Have you heard of these 3D printed houses? Like about them?
I kind of have, yeah. I've off and on over the years. I don't know much about them though.
So there's this company, and it's called Icon, ICON.
Okay.
And they are going to start building these homes in Wimberley, and they're going to start at $800,000. I think there's only going to be 100 homes. But Icon was the first permitted 3D U.S. home. But APIS, it's APIS, which is another company, printed a home in Russia in 24 hours.
Oh my
gosh. So what these 3D homes is they digitize the blueprints,
okay,
and then this computer spits out this concrete, and it just kind of goes around. A lot of times I think it says it takes between 3 to 5 days to build a house.
Which is still, that's a 30th of what it takes to build a regular stick-built house.
Yeah. Well, these people, Icon, they were building them in Marfa and in Georgetown, so they've already done them in Texas before. He's a Texas State grad, by the way. But they're made of concrete. It usually takes, like I said, a few days, but they say it's more cost efficient. It's faster construction. You can do more customization. It's more sustainable because you have less building waste.
I could see that. I mean, every stick-built house has a huge dumpster out front filled with stuff that gets delivered, chopped up somehow, and then part of it's thrown away. I could see that. So they build the walls on the house. They probably still frame on a roof. And then, of course, it's got all the plumbing and the electrical and the air conditioning all has to be added. That's not 3D printed. All that has to come in later.
And that's interesting to me because, when you build a site-build house, they put all the plumbing before they do the slab. And so I'm wondering if that's what they're doing as well. Wouldn't you love to go? We should go see it.
I would love to see one being made. Yeah.
Maybe I'll try to reach out and I'll see if we can get the guy on here.
I think that'd be great. I mean, because obviously maybe not the way they're doing it is the wave of the future, but some sort of that 3D printing is going to be the wave of the future for construction.
They say some of the cons is building codes. So, in some of these neighborhoods and stuff like that, they talk about, site build homes.
I guess it's still a site build house. Yeah.
The technology maturity. So some of them, the technology hasn't caught up with basically what you want to do, like arched walls or whatever. 3D printing is still in the very early stages. And then there's limited materials, kind of going back to what you were saying with the supply chain issues and the concrete boom and stuff like that. But it has been used or potentially used for disaster relief. There's some experimental / luxury high-end homes that have done this. They're saying it's very affordable. I don't know.
It's all relative.
$800,000.
I wonder how big they are.
It's innovative, and then the scalability.
Well, yeah, means you can build a 600 square foot house or you can build a 6,000 square foot house, and it's all the same kind of construction.
Well, there you go. But I think it's really interesting.
I think that is interesting. I mean, if you think about the world of site-built, stick-built houses, it's pretty archaic. Well, you have a truck comes, drops all this lumber off in the mud, and the guys unwrap it, and they start nailing and hammering, and then the house goes up, and like you said, there's waste, and it gets rained on, and then it dries out, and the wood moves a little bit.
But is it fireproof? Right?
No, it's not fireproof. No,
the concrete.
The concrete's fireproof.
Yeah, the concrete. Yeah. So now
it probably has better insulation properties.
But I guess it would be also obviously harder to to move like interior walls and stuff because you're now having to knock off. I'm wondering if you're even putting sheetrock up or you just leaving these concrete looking
I don't know.
toothpaste walls.
Toothpaste walls.
Right?
Maybe they, as they go, they finish them. Put
I don't know.
Kind of a coat on them.
Let's try to figure. If anybody's listening, and if you know the guys, reach out to us.
Yeah, put us in touch with them.
Yeah, we would love to be able to.
gmail.com. But yeah, that's really interesting. But we're going to get Becky in here and learn all about her journey. And I've known this about her a little bit over the years. She's kind of a hippie at heart, which makes sense.
Kinda.
She's a full-on hippie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we love her, and we're going to take a little break and get Becky Jordan in here. Hang on, sit tight.
Are you tired of being left in the dark when the power goes out? Say goodbye to blackouts with Nomic Power Solutions.
As your full-service Generac dealer, they offer individually designed backup power solutions.
From start to finish, they've got you covered.
Nomic Power Solutions, keeping you powered up.
Call or text 512-387-4232 or visit nomicpower.com. Follow on Instagram at Nomic Power for updates.
Nomic Power Solutions. Protect your home, protect your family, stay ready. Proudly sponsored by...
At Capital Farm Credit, they understand that owning land is more than just a transaction. It's a legacy, a future, and a place to call your own.
For generations, Capital Farm Credit has been the trusted lending partner for land loans, farmers, ranchers, and rural dreamers just like you.
Their personalized loan solutions cater to your unique needs, making the journey to land ownership smoother than ever.
Capital Farm Credit, your land, your legacy. Visit capitalfarmcredit.com or Mark Rutledge at 512-892-4425.
Capital Farm Credit, an equal credit housing lender.
Interior design should be an investment in your life and home. Let M. Elliott Studio transform your space, where interior design meets excellence in Central Texas.
Beyond just selecting colors and furnishings, team principal and owner, Montana Elliott, is a trained and licensed interior designer.
With her knowledge of architectural principles, building codes, space planning, and design theory, her team will work with you to understand your needs and lifestyle.
From concept to completion, M. Elliott Studio is committed to enhancing your space with a timeless and classic style.
Ready to redefine your space?
melliottstudio.com, 512-781-0224.
This portion of the show is brought to you by the Mallet Integrity Team of real estate professionals. They are based in Dripping Springs and bring you over 45 years of combined experience helping people reach their hill country real estate dreams. When you want the best in town, call them at 512-829-2062 or look them up at malletintegrityteam.com. And now, here's Steve and Michelle.
And we're back.
With Becky Jordan. You did that on purpose.
I did do that.
Me up. Becky, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Steve.
So great to have you on.
Thank you.
Becky is our dear, dear friend. We love her.
Yeah.
I love y'all too.
I was trying to figure out when I first met you, and I think it was 2004. Mm-hmm. So 20 years I've known you.
Yeah.
And we're still friends, believe it or not.
Yeah. Well, we don't see each other that much.
Yeah, that's true. I can hold my act together for a little while. Just,
I've seen her more than you have over the last couple of months.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So Becky has her house for sale right now in Wimberley.
And Steve Mallett's going to sell it for me.
Yes, we are. We are going to sell it, guaranteed. Yeah.
The weather's great for selling a house right now.
It is. Your house is magical.
Thank you.
It absolutely
really
is.
Yeah, I did the open house there Saturday, and Holly came to support me, which has been really fun. But we sat out on your porch for about 10 minutes, and the breeze was coming through, and the hummingbirds and the butterflies, and I was like, this is a magical place.
It is.
Yeah.
I told you. It's the land that's going to sell it. The house is fabulous, but it's a real special place.
Yeah. Well, and you've said that all along, but it was nice for me to experience that, the quietness and the peace out there. But how did you end up in the area?
That's a good question. My husband and I realized we could get out of Houston. We hadn't been married for very long, and I was managing a yoga studio there in town and decided that we just wanted to get out. And I had lived in Austin for 10 years. My whole 20s I spent in Austin, which was a whole wonderful story that I probably can't talk much about, but I had a lot of fun.
You can if you want.
But anyway, we were able to leave, and I had always wanted to come back to the area. And I had, since I was a little girl, I used to doodle a log cabin out in the country. And I wanted to come out here. I'd been to Wimberley. This was, a long time ago. And so we moved. We drove out here, found some land over there off Mount Sharp Road. First place we looked at, totally raw, cedar break. Yeah. But we fell in love with it, and we thought, well, we can't buy the first place we see. So we went to Liberty Hill. We went to all these places. We'd be way the heck away and be like, wonder what the sunset looks like from that place over off Mount Sharp Road. So we'd get back in the car. And so, we bought the first place we saw.
And what year was that?
That was 1999 that we bought it. We started building in 2000. Okay. So it had nothing.
Yeah.
And I was managing the Yoga Institute.
You were still in Houston, right? Because you were saying that,
Houston,
that Greg was like in a tent at some point on the property. Yeah.
Yeah. So seriously, we had come into some money. So I left him with some money and our dog, Popcorn. That was a little Bichon. And said, okay, build us a house, honey.
Oh my gosh. I hope this wasn't August.
No, it was March.
March is not bad in a tent.
Yeah. He didn't last long in the tent. Yeah. He put up a structure pretty quick, and then there was a place in Wimberley that he found. Okay. And was able to stay there. But I would come back on the weekends, and he built it. And, that was 24 years ago.
Boy, he did a great job.
This property, I just thought we'll need to repost the video. This is the property when we went out there and you took a video of me crawling through the window.
Oh, yeah,
the little office. Yes,
we were selling one of your investment properties, and you were on vacation.
We needed a survey.
We needed a survey, and Greg said, "Well, the survey's in my office, but my office is locked."
Right.
And we got a locksmith, and he couldn't get us in, so we dismantled the window, and I got a video of Michelle's butt disappearing through the window. Yeah.
And pushed me through the window. Yeah, that was for sure. Did you grow up in Houston?
Yeah. I was born and raised there. Yeah.
Really?
Uh-huh.
So born and raised in Houston, moved to Austin, worked for a while, went back to Houston.
Yeah. A man did me wrong.
Oh, yeah.
I had to run home with my tail between my legs and recover.
And then you met Greg in Houston.
Right.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And how did you get into yoga?
I was thinking about this yesterday because when I got out of high school, I went straight to work. I got a job at a radio station in Houston, and I had an apartment, and I had just turned 18, and I started getting down on the floor, rolling around in these weird positions. I just knew it felt good. And I came across this book called The Complete Illustrated Book of Yoga. There weren't a lot of yoga books around back then. That was 1974. And it was by Swami Vishnudevananda. And I looked at this book and I started flipping through the pages and I was like, this is what I'm doing. It was really odd. And so I really fell in love with it then. And I would just look through the book and act like I knew what I was doing. And
sorry.
You okay?
While you're talking, I just got a cramp in my hamstring. I'm sorry.
Here, we could fix that.
What did I
keep going, Becky. I'm sorry.
I told you it's really hard to find good help. It's just the hits.
Well, I took 3 weeks off from lifting, and I lifted this morning, and my hamstrings are paying me back. I am so sorry to interrupt your wonderful story, Becky.
That's okay, Steve. I understand hamstring cramps are not pleasant.
No.
But anyway, so that's how I started doing it. And
did you find yourself a studio, or was there
weren't
such
really
a thing?
studios?
Yeah.
There weren't a lot of studios back then. I didn't stick around that long. I ended up moving out to New Mexico for a while.
Oh.
And then I decided to leave there because where I was living, that was out in the middle of nowhere, and I was single and young, and there were no guys, So I got a job at a radio station in Austin and got in the music business more there. And so yoga went out the window because I was busy having way too much fun.
What radio station did you work for?
KHFI. FM 98.
Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that. I bet you did have a good time.
Over the New Mexico thing. And so you put in your bio, you worked in the Gila wilderness?
I lived out in the Gila wilderness. Initially, I moved to Silver City and lived with a married couple, some friends of mine from Houston. And then they had the opportunity to caretake this place called Lions Lodge. It wasn't a public lodge. It was on the old stagecoach mail route in the middle of friggin' nowhere. Like you had to cross the Gila River 10 times to get to this place. Wow. It was in the wilderness. So Frank Werber owned this place. And Frank, if for you old people out there like me, if you remember a band called the Kingston Trio back in the 50s, Frank managed them, made a lot of money, and was able to buy 150 acres on the Gila River. And this lodge was built for Teddy Roosevelt, but Teddy never got to go there because he died. Oh, wow. And so Frank bought this place and just kept it for friends and family. So we were seriously in the middle of nowhere. And we had goats, and we had chickens, and we had a garden. And he used it as a place to get away from because he was running this big restaurant, the Trident in San Francisco back in the 70s. Uh-huh. And anyway, so I lived there and decided eventually that, a stray backpacker isn't going to be the man of my dreams. So I got it. I had been in radio in Houston, so I got a job in Austin and moved here. So anyway.
And you told me when I was doing some prep with you, you said you got to hang out with a lot of cool rock stars.
I did.
Yeah.
Especially, in Houston. So.
And
in what capacity was that?
Well,
not as a groupie.
Not as a groupie. Although, it was tempting. I was in radio, so sometimes I would meet people that would come to the radio station, but mainly then I got in record promotion, and I worked for a company that was a distribution company, and I was the assistant promoter for South Texas. We had like 90 different record labels.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know. I met The Who. I don't even know who all to tell you.
Wow. Well, that right there, you could just stop right there.
Name bands, a whole lot of acts. Wow. And it was a lot of fun.
This was in the 70s? Mm-hmm. So this is like the time, the prime time. Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. That was back in crazy days. It was a lot of fun, though.
Yeah, I bet it was.
Yeah.
And this was before Greg, too. So when did you meet Greg?
1997.
Okay. So your yoga career, 1974, which I hate to tell you, was 50 years ago.
I know. My 50th year high school reunions in September.
Isn't that crazy? That's crazy. You started kind of dabbling in yoga.
Right.
And then did you take some classes or something after
Eventually what happened was when I went back to Houston with my tail between my legs, in 1989, I found a studio and that I started going to, and I started really getting involved in it really then. I mean, I dabbled in it myself prior to that, but I didn't really get into it big time, if you call it big time. I was working then for a doctor's office with HIV and AIDS patients, and I was going to yoga classes, and the work with the HIV and AIDS people, the guys mainly back in those days, was wonderful. It was really hard back in those days because people didn't make it. That was before the drugs and all that.
And people didn't know what it was, and why and where. And
I mean, it was a horrible time. So I decided I wanted to get out of that and start teaching yoga. I was inspired to get a teaching certificate. So I did that. And
what did that entail? Did you have to have so many hours under your belt, or is it a lot different these days?
I think, sometimes it's different these days. There weren't that many teacher training programs back in those days. And used to, you didn't have to be, and you still really don't, but most people want a teacher that has been trained. Right. Go figure, right? So I just took a course. It was just a few weeks, and then you're just kind of thrown out there. The thing is, that was a long time ago. I feel lucky in that I was in a time where a lot of really great world-class teachers were readily available.
Okay.
And I got involved in this a lot with Ray Lynn. And
Ray Lynn, who's in the studio with us
studio
today
now,
as support.
right?
Yep.
And she and I got to just have an amazing time traveling and studying with these amazing teachers.
Did you ever go abroad?
No. Well, we did do stuff in Central America and Mexico, but because we would do retreats together. But I never went to India to study or anything like that. And
just give us the layman's overview of what yoga is all about. So I met you at a dinner party, didn't know you, and you said, "Oh, I'm a yoga instructor." And I said, "Well, tell me about that."
That is such a loaded question.
He asked
I thought that was a great question.
It is a good question. There's so many places that you can take that.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people look at it as union of body, mind, and spirit, right? The westernized version of it now is all about the movement and the asana portion. That's the postures that you take and getting a good workout, right? But originally, it really wasn't that at all. It was more learning to go deeper inside yourself, meditation,
the
breathing
spiritual
practice,
aspect.
the spiritual aspect of it. And in most places around the world, that's really still the crux of it. But as we do in this part of the world, we make everything hard and fast and
competitive.
Competitive, right? Yeah. So, I mean, there's nothing really wrong with that. Right. I mean, it's helped yoga to grow.
Right.
And it can be extremely beneficial physically. And once you start into the movements and connect with your breath, and there are changes that happen from that practice that will often take you to a deeper place, and that's what I found. That's what I think most people that are serious about a practice, that's what they find. It's like, wow, I didn't expect to be a nicer person. Somebody just cut me off on the freeway and, 6 months ago I would have,
run them
cursed
off the road,
them out.
yeah.
And now I just kind of was like, oh, well, I guess they were in more of a hurry than me. It's like, how did that happen?
When can you do a class with Michelle?
For Steve, so I can practice it on Steve. What do you think makes yoga unique compared to other forms of physical exercise?
Well, what I've just said to some degree, it's when you go to the gym and work out with weights, right? And I love that too.
Yeah.
It's very different than when you put yourself on your yoga mat and you really listen to what it is that your body needs. And you start moving with that rhythm of your breath. And if you need a teacher, find a good teacher. Find a teacher that has some experience under their belt.
Because there's many different styles, right? So one style may not necessarily fit you. I did hot yoga one time and I thought I was going to die and I never wanted to go back ever. And then in my mind, I was like, oh, that's yoga. Is hot yoga and it's making me feel miserable. I had no spiritual experience, physical, nothing, just that I was going to die because it was awful.
Yeah, that's a certain style. And there are a lot of different styles now. So, yoga is like this umbrella that has all these different styles of yoga underneath it. And it's just finding the one that really works for you.
Yeah. That you just said what your body needs. Do you mean that you tune in to your body and like maybe if you have a nagging something tight like a hamstring,
right?
that you tune into that and then you work on that?
Yeah, and as I say this, I realize I say this as a longtime practitioner and a yoga therapist teacher. I would know what to do, and your average student really won't.
Yeah.
Well, it goes back to the yoga novice, right? Like, where would somebody who has never done it?
They need to find a good teacher, and again, somebody that has a lot of experience, and depending on what your needs are, like, if you're a pregnant woman doing yoga, you need to find somebody that's worked with pregnant women, right? If you're an athlete, if you're a guy, there are classes out there that are, that can work with you.
Yeah.
it's just, you've got to just go look. It's really interesting to me. I know that there is some yoga in dripping, but there isn't, I just have visualized this big yoga studio, and I know there's Sarasana in Belterra.
Yeah.
There's some stuff in Bee Cave, but I'm surprised that there's not some big place right here on 290 and 12. That.
Is there a big place in Wimberley?
No.
Yeah. Is there a big place in Austin? There's got to be.
Yeah, there are. It's funny. It's changed a lot since COVID.
Yeah.
COVID hit yoga pretty hard. The yoga studios, a lot of them didn't make it because, the last thing you
couldn't
want
get together. Yeah.
Right.
Or you had to be 6 feet apart so you could get like 4 people in a studio.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, how much fun is that?
Right,
and how are you going to pay the rent with that?
Yeah. What about somebody that's battling injuries or disease? Can they benefit from yoga?
Absolutely.
Is that? Do you have to find a special teacher for that, or is that?
Well, I would recommend you, definitely do some research. Injuries, illnesses, that sort of thing. A yoga therapist is highly advised. I would advise that because they're trained in those areas, or just a longtime yoga teacher that has really put in the hours and really studied. A lot about anatomy and injuries and things like that. I mean, Ray and I have studied with some really wonderful teachers, and prior to me even becoming a yoga therapist, I would know what to do to tell you about your hamstrings, or if you came in with a tight shoulder, or,
Right.
Do you think that yoga can really help with the internal aging process as well?
I think it helps with everything.
Yeah.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
That
I think
might be the title of our show. Yoga helps with everything.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely.
I think that's the biggest obstacle that people are becoming more and more aware of elderly, like Steve, people that.
Let's go run around the block, Michelle.
That the mobility issues,
right?
As they're getting older, mobility, if they can't get off the floor, or just even walking across the room, that's really a real issue, and that really kind of shortens your lifespan. And
absolutely, and the postures, the movements, and it doesn't have to be something challenging or hard. It can be, you find the yoga that you are ready for, that your body is ready for. It can be very gentle movements. This is an extreme example, but years ago, I worked with a woman in Wimberley that was at Deer Creek Nursing Home, and she had Lou Gehrig's disease, and all she could move was her hand. And I went and worked with her just to help her get some movements in her hand, did some meditation for her, some breathing practices as well as she could do that, just to help her find her center. And that's really what all this is about, is really connecting to that place within you where you feel better physically, mentally, emotionally. And yoga does help all of those things.
Well, I think in this crazy life that we all live, our minds and our bodies are very disconnected, that we don't even really think about what's going on in our bodies every day. And to Michelle's point, as we age, we don't think that there are things that we can do to allow us to be more active as we age. And it sounds like yoga is one of these things that can help you be more active.
It's a lot more gentle on you. Yeah. And I feel like my biggest kind of reservation about it has been the conflicts between yoga and my Christianity. And so I kind of want to wanted to ask you about the whole mindfulness, meditation, wellness aspect of it. And I know you were talking earlier about the Western versus the Eastern styles. And, it is a nice place. And I feel like there's even Christian yoga, where you're finding your center and you're learning to meditate and you can be in prayer in that sense. So explain to me your opinion on that.
Is it a conflict?
No, I don't think it is at all. I think that yoga really can enhance whatever your beliefs are, because what I see is it's kind of all the same. You know, the core teachings of yoga, if you talk about the philosophy of it, it's like, don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal.
Oh.
Yeah.
The commandments.
Yeah. It's the same thing, right? And people talk about chanting Om in yoga class, and they don't really want to do that. That's the root word for amen or amen is Om. And, you know, you can participate in much of that part as you want. But, I mean, I grew up a Lutheran, right? You know, and I never had any conflict with that. And sometimes you'll see little pictures of deities and things. And it reminds me of my husband's family is Catholic. And whenever something would happen, Greg's mom would say, pray to Saint so-and-so.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that. It's just a representation of a goodness, right, in a certain form.
Yeah.
So every culture has that to some degree. And I don't really see a conflict. I see it just as, you know, we're all just trying to get by.
I can tell you, Becky, it's always impressed me the peace that you have with just life in general. And I've always been very well. I know everybody has inner turmoil. It happens, but you're just the way you carry yourself and the way you've handled. You know, we've done some real estate deals, and they've gotten kind of wonky sometimes, and you just carry yourself through them with a lot of peace, and that's been really impressive to me. So, my question: if Michelle and I said, Becky, we want to take a personal class with you. To experience yoga, lay that out for me. What would that look like? What would, you know, would you have music? Would you have her chanting Om? What would that look like?
Well, we would
Would you have him in a leotard?
That's a really good idea.
What are you doing tomorrow?
You're going to get a film crew there for that. Probably.
Basically, we just need a floor. And some, you know, everybody needs a yoga mat. I would bring blocks and straps to help support you in whatever we were doing. I wouldn't play music probably.
No music. Okay.
No, I'm not really a fan of that. And that goes against a lot of what people do nowadays. But I'm pretty old school yoga teacher.
Yeah.
And I want them to listen to me. I want them to breathe for the rhythm of their own body, not with the beat of a song. I mean, sure, I put on music sometimes and I'll flow on my mat by myself. But when I'm teaching, I want them to
pay attention.
My students. You know, they have to do what I say.
Well, I could see the music being almost a distraction. If you're trying to really focus on what's going on with your body, I could see that being something that takes your mind away.
And picking music that everybody likes, I don't want that responsibility. Because I can see somebody hearing a song that they really hate or a song that reminds them of when they broke up with their partner.
Yeah.
It's like, great.
Ran back to Houston.
Yeah.
You opened your first yoga studio in Wimberley in 2008, and then you closed it down in 2014.
Yeah.
If you could do that all over again, would you have picked the same town, same location?
It was a beautiful spot. It was a great studio. I think it was honestly a little ahead of its time in Wimberley. I was able to bring in some really great teachers again. Ray and I were working together. She had the studio in Houston, so we were cross doing things, you know.
Cross promoting.
Right. And we did teacher trainings there. Wimberley was a lot different place in 2008. It was much smaller, and it was a lot of fun. I feel very fortunate to have had that. I mean, it was on the square overlooking Cypress Creek.
Oh, wow.
In the evenings, I could open up the windows, and we were on the second floor, and there was a guy that would practice his saxophone in the evenings, and he played beautifully. And I would, when the weather was nice and he was out there, I would open up the windows, and we would listen to this guy play his sax while we did yoga.
Wow.
And it was like, this is just so Wimberley. esque. You know, it was really a beautiful. You know, I would probably do it again.
I think people now are complaining how much the tourism has really kind of destroyed downtown Wimberley for the locals, and you're kind of just fighting with all the tourists, especially in the summer. Do you feel that way, or do you kind of try to avoid downtown Wimberley at all cost?
You know, there are definite times where I try to avoid, and luckily there are still a few back roads where you can get around the square, but it's really hard. And you know, it's kind of a good thing, bad thing. But the vibe has definitely changed. A lot of big money is moving in.
Oh, it's like here in Drip too.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, you got to balance that between responsible growth, and Wimberley still is such a cool place. It's so beautiful.
I bet you did like getting H-E-B though, didn't you?
I loved it so much.
That was a big deal.
Well, I remember when the H-E-B opened here.
Yeah.
And I mean, we got dressed up. You know, the opening day, and the Dripping Springs High School band was playing. The cheerleaders were there. Same with Home Depot.
There was like 300 or 400 people lined up out front. Yeah, I'm going to get a T-shirt. Yeah. Becky, I want to ask you about two things: meditation and essential oils. You're really big into essential oils, aren't you? Yeah. So tell me about that. And then I want to know meditation and yoga. What's that about?
Oh, goodness. So essential oils. So I got involved with those, I don't even know, 15 years. I mean, I'd always dabbled with stuff from like Whole Foods Market and that kind of thing. I didn't really know what I was doing. But then I got more involved, I guess it's been 15 or 16 years ago. And I kind of use them for everything.
Do you?
The thing is about oils is they aren't regulated. And you really have to be careful because...
Especially around pets, right? There's certain ones that the pets can't be around.
Well, yeah, there's that. And I'll come back to that in a second. But the big piece is so many of them are adulterated. Stuff that you buy at the store typically has got a lot of gunk in it, and it's not pure.
Okay.
And it can say 100% natural, and that doesn't mean anything. You know, so you have to...
People are starting to figure that out about a lot of things.
So, you know, you think, okay, I'm going to use this for this particular issue, and it doesn't work. Well, oils don't work. Well, it's probably because it's not real lavender or whatever the oil might be. You know, and so far as pets go, there's actually a woman in Austin that is a vet, and she uses essential oils for ailments for everything from horses to dogs and cats and everything in between.
It's a real holistic approach, right? And I think people are really kind of reverting back to that because we've just been fed this crap from the pharmaceutical. Their job is to keep us sick. Right.
Well,
and so, you know, kind of these oils go back to the Native Americans and just
that was the original herbal medicine was like the original. Right. And then I forget when it was in 1900 or something. All of that changed with
Johnson & Johnson probably.
Well, it was like, I forget who all it was, but it was the big rich people back in those days, Rockefellers, people like that. They were influencing, they wanted medicine, and they wanted to change the way doctors were trained. So they took out in doctor training back in those days, anything that was holistic like that. They wanted to sell their drugs. So that's where all that started. But dogs and cats in particular, dogs are pretty easy with oils. Cats, you have to be a little bit more picky. They have a certain amino acid, I think it is, or are lacking one that they can't do certain oils. And same with dogs, but it's pretty easy to figure out. You can look it up online or call me.
But as a human, right? Is it the certain oils go on a certain part of your body? So if you're having a stomach ache or I don't know, some sort of ailment, chronic, that goes at a particular part of your body. I've seen a lot of these packs that that I've been I guess I'm on that side of TikTok, where castor oil packs mixed with some of these essential oils placed in the abdomen, like around the belly button. And so there's a whole science behind it, right? Of where you're going to put it on your body and what the mixture of, lavender and whatever else you're putting.
Right. Yeah. And luckily there's a lot of good information out there. You also have to really do your homework.
Don't get it from TikTok.
Don't get it from TikTok.
TikTok University.
But right. And a lot of it is pretty self-explanatory. If you've got a sore shoulder, you put the oils that are going to help muscle soreness on your shoulder. Tummy upsets, put stuff on your tummy. Headache stuff you put around your temples, behind your ears, that sort of thing.
So is it certain types of oils for headaches?
Yeah, peppermint is good, but you don't want to be too close to your eyes or it'll make your eyes water because peppermint's really strong.
Yeah.
Peppermint, lavender. Or it's a good mix.
What Michelle's favorite essential oil is?
Let me think.
You'll never
patchouli.
Do I look like a patchouli girl?
No, but I
am. It's money. I don't. It's this oil.
Yeah. I've heard of that.
Yeah, I got it.
Every once in a while, she'll come in my office. I'll be working a deal or something. She'll be like, "Give me your pump," and she puts some on there, and I was like, "That."
I want to smell it.
I will. I'll let you.
It smells pretty good.
Yeah, and I just walk around and I just make people put their palms open and I stick it in there and I make them rub it. Yeah. And
do I need to just put that around my house while it's for sale?
I think you do. True. Becky, we already did it, so don't worry about it.
Okay, good.
You can't tell.
Okay.
So meditation. So is meditation a big part of yoga?
It can be.
Is it not always?
Well, it depends on who's practicing, right?
Okay.
So it is, yes, in traditional yoga, it is a huge part of yoga. Absolutely.
Yeah. I've tried meditation many times over the years and I can do about 15 seconds and then I'm gone thinking about work or whatever. I don't know how to do it right.
Well, the thing is people think that it's about you stopping your mind, but it's not. It's about allowing the thoughts to slow down because your mind isn't going to stop thinking. Because it's your ego's in there. You're really busy.
Sure.
Your brain is really busy. But if you can just find a focal point, whether it's your breath, whether it's repeating a mantra, whether it's looking out at the trees or just closing your eyes and noticing how your body feels. And then when you start thinking, which is going to take about 10 seconds, then you just kind of notice what you're thinking. And, from there, there's a lot more to it than just that. And I don't really know how much time we have, but you just start listening to what you hear and paying attention and then letting things just start to slow down. And it takes time for the thoughts to slow down. When I first started meditating, I realized, because you learn a lot about yourself.
Yeah, I bet.
And I realized that I'm a planner. When my brain starts going, that's what I'm doing. I'm planning something.
That's the way I am. I'm a list maker. And if I don't have, if something big is coming up, yesterday I walked in the office and I said, so I've been first thing, he's like, good morning. I was like, good morning. So, and I clapped my hands together.
She walked right in and sat down and
goes,
boom. I said, you're so funny. You're like, crap.
Well, I'm planning, what do I have to get at the grocery store? Out of that, what am I going to cook?
So when you're meditating,
what time am I going to go to bed?
Creeping into
of course. Yeah. And there's, I am going to plug an app. So there is an app called Insight Timer. It's free. And it's got all kinds of different meditation practices, relaxation practices, people that will lead you through a meditation, that will talk you through it. And you can pick how long you want to do this. Some meditations are 6 minutes. I did one this morning that was 9 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Just a little something.
That's part of what Hal Elrod, when we had the author on, he talked about the Miracle Morning. He talked about meditation in the morning. And it's about kind of clearing your mind of junk to get to fill your mind with more junk for the day.
I just got back from 6 days backpacking in Oregon, and I believe that was the first time in a long, long time, I had peace in my life, and it was because I didn't have this. This thing my cell phone did not work. That's got to be one of the hardest things we deal with in terms of meditation. It's like this constantly connected world that we
distraction.
live in.
Yeah.
It was really nice to be away from that.
Yeah, it's just astonishing to me how much the world has changed. You know, from when I got out of high school in 1974. I mean, I know I sound like an old baby boomer, but it's really hard. Things are moving faster every day, and to keep up. And you know what? I decided I don't have to keep up.
Well, and
well, you know what? And I think the older we get, the more we can say that too. We get kind of, we're starting to be comfortable with who we are. We're not striving for that next greater, biggest thing. And we get more peace with where we are.
That leads to kind of the next question I had is, you talked about you being a 5th generation Texan. You started this yoga studio in Wimberley. You came from Houston. You lived in Austin, and you kind of lived all over Texas, and you are a Texas woman through and through, but you're retiring, you and your husband, and you are leaving Texas, and you are going to Arkansas.
I know.
Eureka Springs.
I know.
And wow, that's you have a daughter and grandchildren here, two boys, two grandsons in Houston.
Yeah.
So how do you think that jump is going to be for you?
I want another big adventure.
Well, that's a good one.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to be too far from the kids. Yeah. So, it's a long day's drive, but it's a day's drive to get there. But it's not like 3.5 hours like now where I can buzz in for the weekend. But we decided, we're going to live our life. And I had spent some time in Arkansas. My parents lived there for a short time, and I really fell in love. It's just so beautiful up there. And I'd been talking about this since before COVID. I was telling Greg, we need to go. We just need to go look up there. Things are cheaper up there. It's beautiful up there. And, our visits got delayed for various reasons. And we went up there, and we just really fell in love with Eureka. It's in the Ozarks. It's got 4 seasons. We got tired of the heat here, you guys. It doesn't rain. We're concerned about the water issues. And, we can sell our property here and go up and buy something just as awesome up there for half the price. And so... Maybe
on a big lake, right?
Maybe on a big lake.
Yeah.
Or a river, or looking out over the mountains.
Yeah.
So
they're going to come visit you when you get settled.
Good.
That's true. Yeah. You want me to run through my rapid fire? Or do you want to ask
questions? Before you do that,
Sure.
I want to ask you, because you've had some challenges in the past few years with your health. You had surgery, and then you broke your ankle.
Well, I broke my ankle, and then I had surgery, and then I had a surgery and surgery again.
So there you go. Challenges. Were you able to do yoga during that time?
No, not the physical practice.
Okay.
But what was interesting? Because there were times where I couldn't really even get out of bed. And
that must have been hard.
What was really something is because I move around all the time. Greg used to call me Tornado Lady because I couldn't sit still, And I have taught for years about being quiet and sitting and being with yourself. That made me do that for an extended period of time. And, I really got into it. I would just look outside at the trees. I can sit here and get myself all emotional thinking about it. It was life-changing for me in that way. So in some ways, it really deepened my practices because I really felt connected to things in a different way because I had to stop. And that's all I could do.
Yeah. That's amazing, because something that a lot of people would look on as a terrible time in their life, you can tell you grew out of that. It was a good thing. Well,
it did have its
it
had its moments, but
you look back and you think, wow, look at this great thing that came out.
Yeah, it really, in some ways, it really was a gift.
Yeah.
And And then I got to do it 2 more times. It was like I was really pretty done.
I'm done with this still. That leads also, I want to do the rapid fire at the very end, but you and Raylan are going to do this yoga, what is it, at the Texas Yoga Institute?
No.
Right? I mean, I'm sorry.
No, I'm going to slide the mic over here.
Well, here,
she
I'm
and I
actually going to share mine with
Okay.
her.
Okay. So Ray and I were involved with the Yoga Institute in Houston. And I'm sure there's probably listeners out here that were involved because the Yoga Institute was founded in 1974 by Lex Gillen. It was practically the only yoga studio in Texas. And he started it. Raylan eventually bought it from him.
Okay.
But he has maintained the name and continued to teach. Well, his 50th anniversary is this year.
Oh, wow.
Because he opened in 1974. So as a celebration, he is having a 5-day retreat at the Institute of Spirituality and Health right by the Texas Medical Center in Houston the last week of August. I think it's the 29th, Thursday.
It's over Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, over Labor Day weekend.
Okay.
And he's bringing in these amazing teachers, some of whom I don't know.
Including us.
Yeah.
So the two of you will be teaching individual classes or classes together?
We're trying to, that's why she's here. We got to figure this out.
Okay.
We've got 5 classes to teach.
Okay.
And he wants us to teach certain things, and we have to figure out how we're going to make that work.
And we've team taught so many times over the years. Like that just feels natural to me. I can't imagine us doing it any other way.
Yeah, we're going to have to figure out what feels good. I mean, it's been a while since we've done that. So it's going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah.
I bet. Well, and it's great that you're sharing the knowledge that both of you have acquired over a long time with these probably a lot of newer people, right?
We don't know who's going to be there because
Okay.
it's Lex's thing, and so we're going to be real curious to see. I'm sure there are going to be people there that we know, but
I think Michelle and I'll get dressed up in a costume or something. We'll show up.
okay. Speedos will get you in for free.
Oh no! So
Leotards.
yeah. Do you have your rapid fire questions,
I do.
Michelle?
I'm still stuck on Stephen a leotard. Okay.
No.
Okay, so rapid fire. What's your favorite yoga position? Favorite. Your favorite.
I want to say Trikonasana triangle pose.
I don't even know what that is.
I don't even know what that is. What is that?
A Chitta Trikonasana extended triangle. It's when you're standing and you separate your feet, you turn one foot in, one foot out, you take your arms up and you exhale and you go over.
Oh, okay. That's, you know what? When we take our picture, I think we should all be yoga posed. That's what we should do.
I love it. Yeah.
Okay, what's your least favorite yoga position?
Oh gosh, it depends on the day, because every day is different on your mat. My least favorite.
There's probably some that have gone real mainstream that you probably go, oh no, that's not a real yoga pose.
My least favorite one is the one I can't do anymore.
That's a great answer. Can't do that one anymore.
You can't do it. Okay, so since you're leaving Texas, what's your favorite Texas season?
I don't know that they have it anymore.
Oh, spring.
Spring and fall.
Spring and fall.
Yeah.
Spring and
Those
fall.
little in-between spots,
I love Texas in spring and fall. Summers, not so much anymore.
Hey,
grin and bear
this
it.
is a great July. I mean, it's only going to be in the 80s.
Holly and I were running this morning, and I said, gosh, this has been an exceptionally wet July. I don't remember it being this.
And cool.
this
No.
much
And
rain.
cool.
Yeah,
It's wonderful. What will you miss the most besides me about moving from Texas?
My friends and family.
Yeah. It's the connections here.
Yeah.
But
They're
you're
not that far away.
Yeah, you're not
It's
that
not like
far
you're
away.
moving to Alaska.
And my house.
And
my
your
home.
house and your home.
Yeah.
And this is the final question, what is the biggest misconception people have about yoga?
That they can't do it.
Everybody can do it.
Everybody can do it.
Well, that's a testament to you talking about the woman with ALS and,
Yes.
and just moving her the movement in her
Yes.
hands. Yeah.
Yes.
And what did you? Okay, I want her to answer.
Yeah.
Yoga will always meet you right where you are.
Oh, that's good.
No matter what it is that you've got
Yeah.
going on, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, yoga will always meet you right where you are.
Wow. My 82-year-old dad, he's living in an apartment building, and they offered yoga classes on Saturday. And I was really encouraging him to go, and he didn't go.
You need to go.
I told him
Go
I'd
with
go
him.
with him, but then he was like, he goes, yeah, I think I'll go. And he goes, I'm just telling you that. I'm not really going to go. So, but I think he would benefit from it, you know, that's
Sure.
Yeah.
The mobility and
Yeah. Yeah. And there's probably some social benefits too.
Oh, absolutely. It's a fun community.
Yeah.
You know, you meet people.
Is that where you met Greg in a yoga
Oh, well,
class?
please tell the story. Let's end with
Oh,
this
gosh.
story. I love this story. I love it.
We were set up, and a yoga teacher, actually the one that inspired me to become a yoga teacher, she said, I know this guy. Well, I was 40 and had never been married. I was like, yeah, whatever. She said, I want you to meet him. It's like, well, he's going to come to this yoga retreat and I want you to come. And I said, okay. So I arrive at the yoga retreat. This was in Brenham, and the class was already going on. She ushered me in, put me in front of the class, because back in those days I was like ultra mega hypermobile, and so I could do all this crazy yoga poses. So Greg was in the room. He knew who I was, but I didn't know who he was in the room because there were a lot of people there. So all of a sudden Satya says, so Becky and Greg, and she makes him stand up, I want you to come over here and go to the wall. We're like, okay. So then I'm looking at him going, okay, so this is the guy I'm supposed to meet. And she says, Becky, stand with your back at the wall. Now, balance on one leg. Now, Greg, pick up her other foot and take her toes to the wall above her head. So he basically put me in the splits from standing as far as I could go. And that is how we met.
Hi, I'm Becky.
And I could have, and Satya took a picture. I could have killed her. And
Did he say when your leg was up there, hey, what are you doing later?
no, but I will say this. We met, that was the weekend of April 15th. And I remember because of tax day, right? That same year on Thanksgiving, he proposed to me in Taos.
Oh,
So
That's sweet.
that is sweet.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. Really good guy.
he is.
Good for both of you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
well, I'm really glad that you came on.
Thank you.
Yeah, and
It was fun.
you know, it's always amazed me. Here I have known you 20 years, and just in the last 45 minutes, I've learned all kinds of things about you that I didn't know.
And I love that she's always Team Michelle.
Yes, she is.
She's always
Team
going to take
Michelle.
my side.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll get her to give us a yoga class and see how that goes.
That's
I
right.
think that, and we can do that, you know, mic'd up.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Let's do the video. That'd be
That
perfect.
sounds like a lot of. Can't do that.
Yeah.
Well, now we're going to make Steve buy you lunch, too.
there's going to be
Yeah.
a lot of bleeps.
Well, I'm happy to buy you lunch, and thanks to both of you for
Thank you
coming
so
in.
much.
Thank
It
you
was
so
fun.
much. I have to tell you, just on an ending note, Becky, we meet so many people in this business, just so many people. And I'm going to get a little teary because I feel so blessed that we have come in contact with you, and I have built a friendship with you. So I appreciate that. And I'm going to miss you.
Oh, I'm going to miss you too.
I feel
Very
the same,
sweet.
but I'm
Thank
not going
you.
to cry.
Good.
Thanks you both for coming in. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Ready to turn your land dreams into reality? Look no further than Capital Farm Credit.
Need a loan for your perfect piece of land? Capital Farm Credit is there for you.
Their dedicated team will tailor a loan to fit your unique needs because your dreams are their priority.
Capital Farm Credit, your land, your legacy. Visit capitalfarmcredit.com or Mark Rutledge at 512-892-4425.
Capital Farm Credit. Together, we're better.
Capital Farm Credit, an equal credit housing lender.
Nomic Power Solutions, keeping you powered up.
Get to know your local full-service Generac dealer.
Cody and Dylan with Nomic Power Solutions are a veteran-owned, Texas-based Generac dealer and installer.
Offering low monthly payment options, it's never been easier to gain independence from the grid.
Call or text 512-387-4232 or visit nomicpower.com. Follow on Instagram at Nomic Power for updates.
Turnkey service including design, plumbing, electrical, and permits.
They even offer set it and forget it maintenance plans. Nomic Power Solutions.
Protect your home. Protect your family. Stay ready. Elevate your living experience with M. Elliott Studio, your trusted partner in interior design, registered and licensed by the state of Texas.
You want your home to reflect your personal style and identity. Investing in a well-crafted design doesn't just beautify your home, it enriches your life.
Team principal and owner, Montana Elliott, understands the profound impact of a thoughtfully designed space. From remodeling to full design, M. Elliott Studio is the first step to unlocking your style.
Turn your aspirations into reality. Tailored to your taste and desires, M. Elliott Studio will work to create an environment that embraces your style with style.
Your space, their expertise.
melliotstudio.com 512-781-0224.
This show has been brought to you in part by the real estate pros at the Mallet Integrity Team. When you're looking to buy or sell, you need them on your side. Why settle for less when you can have real estate done right? Give them a call at 512-829-2062 or get more info at malletintegrityteam.com.
You know you like us, so go now to Apple Podcast or Spotify and leave us a review. Why don't ya? We love your feedback and comments. Email us at malletandmichelle@gmail.com.
Thanks for putting up with us.